Good evening, everybody. We completely apologize for the absolute mess in the parking situation. A member of the band here had to park illegally just to make sure we can get on stage. So we'll take collections for parking tickets and pass it around. So we're very excited about this concert. If for no other reason than we have a great guest artist coming up a bit later, we are very pleased to have with us Nasser Musa. Nasser. I think we're in for a great treat. He's going to end the first half and also sing in the second half. A great singer and oud player. So I'd also ask you to welcome and to thank Sue. Sue! So we have, I think, a great concert coming up. We are true to our name, a Middle East ensemble. I just made a quick list of the countries from which we're playing music and dance. We're playing Persian music, Lebanese music, Egyptian, Turkish, Armenian. Who was that? Was that Egyptian or was that Turkish? Right on. We have a huge Turkish component this concert. Well, Armenian music, Saudi, music from Saudi Arabia, music from Yemen. Can I hear it from all the people from Yemen? We're very excited about this piece from Yemen. We have Kuwaiti music, and then we have music from multinational, sort of cross-border populations, Bedouin people and Sephardic people. So we really have a tremendously varied concert. Huge diversity from different parts of the Middle East. We're going to start with two dances. The first of which really points out a lot of what we try to do, which is that we try to be a community group. So although we are definitely based at the university, and many of us are either professors or graduate students, undergrad at the university, we also have a lot of community folks, and the community people come in all different ways. And we'd like to start off with a very unique way. This is a group of young folk. So we consider ourselves, some of us, we're sort of old folk. So these are young folk. So we're going to have two of our drummers. This is Ziad Marcus and his brother Ari Marcus. And they're going to play a short drum solo for a dance from three students of Alexander King, all three being 8 years old each. So they add up to 24, but individually they're 8 years old. So Ari is 11 years old, and Ziad just had a birthday, turned 14. So this is the young group here. These are my two sons, very happy. Following this, we're going to have our troupe, the ensemble troupe, do a Lebanese debka. So we're going to start with two dances. Thank you very much. This is a Lebanese dance, a Lebanese debka. We are really blessed here in the music department to have Bakram be part of the music department. And we'd please like to welcome Bakram Osquizadeh, leading us in a set of Persian music. And joining him up front, this is Denise Gill. Okay, so this is a bit of a setup here. Let me introduce the fact that for those who are new to our concerts, that our programs have all the words to all of the songs. Everything we sing, every single word is given in its original language, transliterated into our script, and then translated. So what we just had, if you look where this starts here, that was 1B, and the next one, we actually are changing the order of the next two songs, so we apologize for this, but this is we only realized after the fact. So what is being called 2B is now 2A, the very next thing. So if you look at the song text written in the Persian or Farsi language, transliterated and translated, this is what we're going to do immediately next. So again, please welcome Bakram. Bakram, come on out and talk to us, please. Bakram. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with these instruments, Baccarat is playing an instrument called the Santor, or the Santor, and it is a hammered dulcimer, I think is one way we'd say it in English. Could you just tilt it up so people could see the strings there? So this is the Persian instrument.
Persian instrument, Santur. It has a lot of strings, but this one has more.
Denise, tell us what are you playing? Talk to us.
I'm playing the Turkish version of the kanun, spelled with a K, whereas Jim Grippo over here, who just got back from 2 years of field work in Egypt on a Fulbright, he's playing the Egyptian-style kanun with a Q. There's differences. Talk to me in the middle if you want to know them. I'll talk to you for an hour about it. But in this piece, I'll be trying to play under Baccarat's tutelage in an Iranian or Persian style.
So Denise's instrument is plucked, and you see these finger picks she wears on the first finger. And Baccarat has these two mallets, so his is struck. So the Santor and the kanun. Baccarat, you want to introduce the piece at all?
Sure. The first piece is a very famous tasnif, a vocal rhythmic form that is composed by the great composer Dervish Khan. The lyrics are by Malik Bahar. After that, we're going to have a relatively short solo, and I arranged a piece based off a very famous Chahar Mizrab in Persian music. This is my interpretation of a very famous Chahar Mizrab in Mahur. Mahur is a dastgah, some sort of equivalent of mode in Western music. And beginning of that, it starts very slow. That is, again, my interpretation of the Radif. A very short excerpt of that. We're going to play together some sort of call and response between the orchestra and the two of us. And then we're going to have a rhythmic piece that's called the Chahar Mizrab Mahur. That's it. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to start right now. Singers, please.
Say
And Denise Gill. Denise. It's an absolute joy working with Bahram, a great musician. He has his own CD and his own compositions, the latter being completely reworked and rearranged with the decent mind. Bahram, thank you very much. Bahram,
that wouldn't be possible without having him around. So, big round of applause.
So, there aren't too many ensembles that try to do the great diversity that we do here, and here's a perfect example of this, moving from Persian music culture to Turkish music culture. And of course, Turkish music culture is itself a hugely diverse world. And there's so many different pockets of culture in the larger Turkish world, and this is one of them. So we're featuring here an instrument called the bağlama saz. So we can hold up our, they're not mass produced, and so every instrument is a little different. And then Eric is playing the small version of this called the Jora saz. So the high notes you hear will all be his playing. And then the low notes, the rest of us are all in the same octave, although our instruments are a little each unique from another. So this is an instrument of Turkish culture. This was a rural instrument, and then with the founding of the new nation state of Turkey in the beginning of the 20th century, there was an idea to push this as a new form of national culture. And so the saz was actually pushed and brought into urban culture, brought into conservatories, brought into in a regime of professional training. I have a bit of a boom here in my voice, right? We've over the years, we've had a number of people come in and teach us this instrument, the bağlama saz. And so as a result of these teachings, we have a small number of instruments. We have about 8 or 10 of these instruments. And so here we're featuring five bağlama sazes and one of the Jora saz. And the set we're going to do is a set from Shiite music culture, and specifically Bektashi culture. So within the world of Shiite Islam, there is an order called the Bektashi order. And these are 2 religious songs. These songs are also performed in secular concerts, and as I mentioned in the notes, they're available on CDs in a variety of contexts, but one of their contexts, the original context, is actually in the religious context of a ritual called the zikr. And so one of the aspects that we keep in this is that the music starts off quite slowly, and we're going through 2 songs, and it gets a little faster and a little faster and a little faster, and by the end, it's really quite in a fast pace. And the idea of that, one of the ideas behind that is that the slow tempo gets you into it, and maybe the ever-increasing tempo moves you along and pulls you, draws you in. And the music draws you in, and where is it drawing you? Ideally, it's drawing you into a space where you can perhaps see God, or commune with God, or have a moment of union with God, ideally. So this is within Shiite Bektashi Islam. So please look at the notes where we have the words. One of the words that's really indicative of the fact that it is Shiite, this song, is the verse in the second song which says, if you are seeking the path, it is Hassan and Hussein, it is Muhammad and Ali. So this is a very clear statement of Shiite Islam. So please, sit back and catch the song here. These are two songs together. The first, Ah Nije Bir Uyursun, and the second, Noor-i Jamali. Thank you. keeping to this, the world of the Saz, but now in the form here of a folk music rather than a religious music. We're going to perform for our dancers again, for our young dancers. We're going to perform a very, very popular Turkish folk song. And Sue is joining us on the double, the longest journey.
Yes, Sue!
Could you ask these folks if they're ready behind me? There we go. Thank you very much. There we go. That was my I made one mistake here. So please welcome, our dancers here, these are Alexander King's dancers. These are women who learn on campus. Please welcome Alexander King's dancers. here Myra is moving from her saz, her balama saz, to the world of Egyptian song. Myra is a graduating senior. As is Andrea, a graduating senior. So, this next song, if I can take a second to introduce it, we have an ongoing interest in studying the music and the life and the times of Kulthum, the very, very famous Egyptian singer. I think unquestionably the most famous Arab singer of the 20th century. Kulthum started her career as a child in the rural areas of the Delta in northern Egypt, and she was singing with her father and her brother. And pretty soon she became the leader, although initially she was just watching her father and brother, but then little by little they realized, hey, wait a second, she's actually the one that should be leading our group. And as that went on, she was told, hey, you're bigger than just these rural areas, you should go to the big city of Cairo. So with her father and brother and a couple of other members of her ensemble, she went to Cairo. And she started having great fame there. Her fame exploded. And the next step in her career was that people said, hey, wait a second, that style of singing is a little too, it's too rural. It's like a hick style. Here you are in the big city. What you need is instrumentalists to play with. And so she got, because of her fame, she was able to attract probably 3 of the absolutely most famous musicians in Cairo at the time. And this was a qanun player, an oud player, and a violinist, the absolute very, very top of the culture, because they realized that she was this rising star and they wanted to jump on and be part of that world. And so she started, this was in 1926, and in 1928 she sang the song that we're going to perform now, In Kunt Asameh. And it was a major, major hit. It was a hit in the way that no song had ever been a hit in that world, because now, of course, records had come on, and radio was just beginning, and there were new media, and a song could have become a hit bigger than other songs ever could because of all these new media. Just in selling the song, they say they sold hundreds of thousands of the albums of this song. Some people said 500,000, some people said over 1 million, but everyone agreed that it was just unprecedented in the sheer numbers of sales. So we've always been very, very interested in the song, and we're very, very happy that Myra has agreed to take it on. So it's from a very, very early Kulthum song. If you don't know, Kulthum's career continued into the 30s, into the 40s, into the 50s, into the 60s, and into the 70s. She died within her career still very much the height of her career in 1975. So this song from 28 is really thought of as way, way back in the beginning. Actually, many people don't even know of this song while they know dozens and dozens of Kulthum songs. They know her songs from later decades. So this is a very, very early Kulthum song. This is Myra and the song In Kunt Asameh. sit the Myra.
Myra, woo!
Okay, so here's the dance. We're going to bring back our young dancers for. This is an Armenian dance of Tamzara. It should be right here. So Sue is switched over to this instrument. Tell us about this instrument, Sue.
This is a drum. This is an Armenian drum called a kahol. It has two heads, but I'm only playing one of them. And I put it on my knee and it points to the ceiling.
So this is an Armenian drum. And as soon as we find our dancers, we're going to do this Armenian dance. One of the most famous of the Armenian dance melodies in the 9/8 rhythm called Tamzara. Okay, where are you? Where are you, girl? They're here.
Here they are.
Okay, here we go. very, very special treat we'd like to set up here for Nasser Musa. Nasser is a great, great friend of the ensemble. He has performed with us on a couple of occasions in past years. He's taught us a large number of pieces, different repertoires. One of the things that he specializes in is music of the Arabian Peninsula, music of the Persian Gulf region. In Arabic, this is referred to as Khaliji music. And Khaliji music is a very unique music. It has its own feel, its own sound, its own rhythms. One of the things it has, as we'll see in the very first piece, one of the things it has is it has patterns of hand clapping that are unique to the region, and also rhythms that are unique to the region. So this is called Khaliji music. This is music from Saudi Arabia, from Yemen, from Oman, from Bahrain, Kuwait. And so we're going to right now play two songs. One is a Kuwaiti song, and the other is Yemeni. So two songs, and we're totally thrilled to be working with Nasser. You will see why. So in a couple of seconds we'll make this happen. Please welcome Nasser Musa. And we'd like to welcome Nasser's lovely family. Could we have your daughters stand up here? What do you think? And your mom. Nasser, do you want to introduce the song and say something?
This first song we're doing, titled Ya Ali, is from the Kuwaiti repertoire of Al-Salt. Salt rhythm is rarely used in other parts of the Middle East other than Kuwait, and it goes back to the times of the pearl divers, where they used to go in boats. Salt means voice, so this particular rhythm used to accompany only voice, a cappella singing, and then they started adding the oud, which is this instrument, and then full orchestration. This particular one was done by a famous Egyptian singer, Abd al-Halim Hafiz, and it sort of crossed over into Egypt, but it didn't make it as later on in the 80s and the late 70s, early 80s, where like other artists broke in and made this Khaliji music more known in the other parts of the Middle East. So I hope you like this one. It's called Ya Ali, Ya Ali.
Yes.
يا غالي يكفي منامي ودعيك يا غالي يا غالي يكفي منامي ودعيك لكن
You want to introduce this one, folks?
This is a Yemeni song titled Leila Lo Bagi Leila. It was recorded, it's a folkloric song that was re-recorded in the late 90s, and we re-recorded it again in 2000 for a project that was done by RT Productions, Sue Rednicki over here. And it's our new CD titled Khaliji, Songs from the Arabian Gulf region. A different rhythm, different feel to it. Feel free to join in and clap as you hear the clapping patterns. And those type of songs are, the same as with all kinds of folklore where you just be yourself, feel free. You don't have to just do whatever it feels like you feel like doing when you listen to those type of songs. So I hope you enjoy this one. Leila Lo Bagi Leila. لو باقي ليلة في عمري أنا بيه الليلة واسهر في ليل عيوني في ليلة عمر وفي ليلة عمر أنا بيه أبيه أبيه الليلة واسهر في ليل عيونك في ليلة عمر وفي ليلة عمر ليلة لو باقي ليلة عمري قلبي الليلة واسهر في ليلة عيونك في ليلة عمر لو باقي عمري ما بين الليل واسهر ليل على بيتي وسفري قمري شمسي ليلي وفجري صوتي همسي بيتي وسفري قمري وشمسي ليلي وفجري صوتك وهمسك بيتي وسفري قمري وشمسي ليلي وفجري وانتي يا عدوي انتي قلبي انا وينك قلبي يلي ايامي تكونوا ما كل العمر ما كل العمر
So we're going to take a break here. We have Nasser CD outside for sale. That very song is on that CD there. We have Ensemble CDs, Ensemble t-shirts. We have Bakram's CD. I have a book out there. Please check out all the stuff, but more important than all of that, we have food out there. Please check out some of the food out there. Please come on back in about 15 minutes. Thank you very much. So welcome everybody to the second half. This is being the end of the year. We have a couple of awards we have to give folks. So we're very happy situation. Please welcome the head of the ethnomusicology program at UCSB, a fellow professor. I like to think of her as my boss. Please welcome Dr. Dolores Shu.
About achievement, and we take enormous pride in what has been accomplished. On the one hand, accomplished by the scholars in the department, the people who do research, and by the performers, and working together, they create the excellence that I think is the hallmark of this department. This symbiotic relationship between research, scholarly work, and performance. They work together and they bring us excellence. I have first of all to say what a privilege it is, I feel, to be able to announce these awards. But first of all, I would have to say, before we honor the students who have achieved these prizes, I would like to say that if we're talking about excellence, we need to remember Scott Marcus, and his Middle East Ensemble. It is nearly 20 years now that he has brought this group together. It is a flourishing group. It brings full houses, and it is distinguished because of the vast variety of the traditions that he introduces to his students and that he shares with his audiences. So again, if we have excellence in the program of ethnomusicology, much of the credit goes to Scott and to his ensemble. Now, I would say always in our program in ethnomusicology, we want to honor each year a student who has achieved great success in scholarly research, who has brought distinction to the program, and this year the award goes to Denise Gill. PhD. She has won a great deal of recognition for her research, and as you all know, she is a really fine performer. The second award always goes to scholarly and performance excellence, distinguished contributions to our performance program, and no one is more deserving for that than Eric Eder. And I hope you really, truly enjoyed the second half of the program. The first half was wonderful. And I turn to Scott now, and he will entertain you the rest of the evening.
I think I'll take this moment to give out one more group of awards. Yeah, we don't need that, Mike. Thank you. One of the great supporters of our group here, many of you know that we have a support group, a friends group, which we call the Friends of Middle Eastern Music Association. And actually, we always encourage you to join us. So as part of the support group, we've had a board of people from various Middle Eastern communities and from students and professor types at the university. And we get together once a month and we try to support the ensemble, think of ways to fundraise, think of artists that we at the ensemble can work with. So we have a board that helps us, a support group. And one of the founding members on the board was Sarkis Tajan. Sarkis was an Armenian. He lived in our community here. He spent his life supporting and spreading the word about Armenian culture. He had a television station, a local television channel. On our local television channel, he had a program about Armenian music, Armenian culture. And actually, he passed away almost to the date 10 years now. He passed away in December 10 years ago. And in his honor for all the work that he's done, we've created a scholarship under his name, the Sarkis Tajan Memorial Fellowship. And this fellowship supports people who go to a week-long retreat in Northern California. It happens the third week of August every single year, a week-long retreat. And it's called the Mendocino Middle Eastern Music and Dance Camp. And this has a staff of about 20 people teaching various instrumental traditions, vocal traditions, a large number of dance traditions from throughout the Middle East. Armenian instruments, Armenian dance, Turkish instruments, Turkish dance, Persian instruments, Arab instruments, just a great variety of cultures from around the Middle East. And I'd like to announce the people who have gotten the Sarkis Memorial Fellowship this year. Lily, right here, Lily Gordon. Colton. Eric, and Andrea, and Julie, and Phil, and Avi. So this is a fellowship that helps these folks attend this camp, pays for fees, and it also gets enough of us up there so that we, as an ensemble, we give a formal concert every year at this camp. And it's quite a stunning event. We have more than 200 people in front of us all. Many from the staff, the entire staff sits in, and all the people who come for the week-long retreat. It's a really rare occasion that we get to give a formal concert every single year at this camp. So we thank Sarkis's families for supporting us in this, and we thank all the members of the board for the continual work, and we thank you for coming out and continually supporting what we do. So we thank you very, very much, and congratulate these folks. Okay, we're going to kick it up here. We have a very, very exciting song. This is, I don't know, how many of you people know the song Samria Samra? You all know the song Samria Samra? So of course, people said to me, of course everyone knows Samria Samra, right? So everyone goes, of course we know Samria Samra. So this was done by Karim Mahmoud. And Karim Mahmoud, I think it's by far his most famous song, and we'd like to do another one of his famous songs. This is the song Ay Nebi. So the song Ay Nebi is the idea of comparing a girl to the color of the cheeks, this girl's cheeks to the color of this fruit, the Ayneb. So please welcome our dancers. This is a very, very exciting piece. We thank Alexander King for choreographing this piece just this very morning. So a brand new choreography. It's just stunning what this group can do. We have our own choreographers, a huge number of musicians. So it's very exciting. We're very excited about this piece. Please welcome Alexander King and our dancers in a brand new piece for us. A piece by the famous Egyptian singer, Karim Mahmoud. Could we get the house lights dimmed again? Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That's strong. Okay, here we go. you all know Eric.
I guess I'm going to introduce this next piece. It's called Mansa Zeybek. It's a Zeybek. It's kind of a dance from the Aegeans. So it's danced and heard in Turkey and in Greece. And this one is from Turkey. Manisa is a town on the west coast. And what more do you want to say?
What did you get that award for?
I'll perform it for you. What do you want me to do?
Tell us about the rhythm. Tell us about the rhythm.
The rhythm is in 9 beats, and it sort of sounds like a compound of 4 and then 5. You want to give us a bar of this? One more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So the idea that normally that very rhythm would be an 8-beat rhythm, but at the end they stick one more beat onto it. So there's a whole genre of music created around that idea that there's this extra beat, and then played very slowly. Then it leads to this dance, and people. I think it does something to the whole mood to have that extra beat. Could you play it much slower now and hear that extra beat here, the 9th beat?
Well, there you have it. Pretty, ain't it? Unfortunately, we don't have a dancer for this tonight. It's the dancer of, it's associated. So the Zeybeks were a group of people on the Aegean coast who are sort of in war times between like the 13th and the 19th centuries. They were sort of mercenaries, and when there wasn't a war, they were the bandits in the mountains and making trouble and drinking a lot and what have you. And so this is a making trouble and drinking a lot kind of a dance, kind of a tune. We played a little bit faster than we ought to, but it'll sound nice. You won't get bored as quickly when we play it this way. If we had a dancer, we wouldn't get bored at all. But it's a very sort of macho.
Yeah. You're talking about a very macho kind of a dance.
Yeah.
And please welcome again Denise. Denise Gill.
Oh, there we go. Tonight I'm going to be singing a sharka for you with the help of our fabulous ensemble and our especially fabulous drum section who mastered this Georgiuna, this 10-beat rhythm. This is a sharka, which is a form of song that has been in Turkey since the 18th century. This particular piece was written by a very, very famous Armenian composer, Kemalişah Kisefendi, who lived basically from the 1850s, I believe, until a little after the beginning of the Turkish Republic. And he spent his entire life in Istanbul, and is remembered today as a very fabulous violinist and composer. And this is his piece, Kimseye Etmem Şikayet, and it's a very, very heavy text. And I encourage you to read the texts which are in the program notes this evening. I'd like to dedicate my performance of this song tonight to my mother, who decided to fly from Chicago about 24 hours ago, about more than 30 hours ago. She decided, she just called me and was like, oh, I'm going to fly from Chicago and see your concert. I said, okay. So if we could, Mom, could you stand up and... My mother raised me since the age of 5. I've been playing and I was trained in opera and classical piano. And she was the one, as a fabulous pianist and organist and vocalist herself, opened up the doors for me, gave me a violin, and afforded me voice lessons, piano lessons, and dance lessons. Of course, she probably imagined me in a different place than Ensemble at the time, but she has supported and encouraged all of my endeavors. I thank you, Mom. And this piece tonight. This piece tonight, I hope you enjoy. If we could get the lights back then. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Andrea. Dr. Andrea Fishman.
I'm going to sing a couple of Sephardic songs tonight, and if you're not familiar with this term, Sepharad is the ancient Hebrew word for Spain, and Sephardic Jews, or Sephardim or Sephardi, trace their ancestry at least back to before the end of the 15th century to Spain. And at the end of the 15th century, as you know, Jews and Muslims were expelled from Spain under Ferdinand and Isabella. And the Jews who left Spain in the Iberian Peninsula, the Sephardic Jews, they settled in the Middle East, North Africa, the Ottoman Empire, which opened them, with open arms. They were completely welcome in the Ottoman Empire. And they settled in what's now modern-day Turkey, Greece, Bulgaria, North Africa. And the center of Jewish culture and life and music for 500 years was in the Ottoman Empire, particularly the urban centers of Salonika, or Thessaloniki, and now Greece, Izmir, Smyrna. And the Sephardic repertoire, of course, has, the language was Ladino or Judeo-Espanol, so I'm going to be singing in a medieval Spanish. And wherever the Sephardic Jews settled, they incorporated the musical traditions, the maqams, the modal systems, the folk traditions of Turkey and Greece and Morocco and other places where they settled. So I love Sephardic music because it has a little bit of everything that's beautiful and warm and meaningful and wonderful, and it's this wonderful fusion of musical styles. And the Sephardic repertoire, there are ballads, love songs, wedding songs, and Sephardic adaptations of famous Turkish songs. I'll be singing one later, Çapkın, and Greek songs as well. So tonight I'm going to give two examples of very different kinds of Sephardic songs. The first song I'm going to sing is called Erre de Francia. This song is sung, it's known in Thessaloniki, Greece, but also in Morocco and the Eastern Mediterranean. And it's a ballad on the familiar, ubiquitous ballad theme of a mother interpreting her daughter's dream. So in this ballad, the king of France has 3 daughters, and the youngest one tells her mother a dream and she interprets it. And you can read the lyrics in the program. The second song is a very different kind of song. It's a pop song from Turkey, so we'll be returning to Turkey, by a group called Sepharad. And they're a very, very popular pop group. They're Sephardic Jews in Turkey, and they're very famous. And so it's a pop song, it's a love song. It has 3 verses. The first verse says, tell your mom, it's a guy telling his girlfriend, tell your mom that I love only you, but my mom told me not to get married. And then the last verse, he says, I love only you, I love only you. Oh, I don't need a palace, I love only you. And the second verse, which I encourage you to read the lyrics in the program, have something to do with a crazy chicken.
La maschica
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you. Eric Ederer on Jumbush. Coulter Fraser on saxophone. And Professor Ronnie Gabriel on guitar. Soon and drumming.
So we are very, very happy for Rami, our guitarist. Rami just landed a tenure-track job in Chicago. He's going to be leaving us for greener pastures. Congratulations. Congrats, congrats. So this is this tune that we premiered last quarter, and we decided to bring it back. This is a very upbeat song and dance from Kuwait. So this is a Khaliji dance. I described it last time. It's a party scene where a bunch of guys and a bunch of girls are together and they're partying, and the guys are saying about the girls, "God, you're good looking. You girls look hot." And the girls are responding back like, "Well, you guys are something. You guys are handsome." So it's this sort of back and forth. They just the guys are praising the girls are praising the guys, and then at one point, someone says, "Come on, let's get dancing." "Hey, how come you're not dancing?" "What? You're not dancing?" And these lines come out, and sort of the modernist aesthetic that they had at one point in the song. This is by a pop group from Kuwait. They use tuned car horns to create a sound here, and of course our wind section here can cover this very nicely. So these are, in the recording, it's actually car horns that are tuned to a Middle Eastern scale with half flats, a very unusual maqam. It's actually maqam saba, played by car horns. So you will hear that happening. This is a Kuwaiti tune called Jannanoon, and we want to thank very much Kay Campbell, who is probably the leading expert on Khaliji dance in America. She goes around and teaches throughout America workshops, and she came and taught us a workshop and gave us this song. So we thank Kay Campbell at Harvard University in the Boston area in general. And we thank Chris. Chris, where is Chris? Chris is our choreographer for this. Chris, stand up, come. So, working with the material that Kay gave us, Chris choreographed this piece. So thank you, Chris, very, very much. We look forward to you coming on back on stage here. Chris took the quarter off. So we'd like to please welcome our dancers in a Khaliji piece called Jannanoon. So it's the start off with the guys all saying salam, salam, and the girls all responding with salam, salam. Okay, here we go. Salam, salam, salam!
Salam, salam, salam!
Salam, salam, salam!
Salam, salam, salam!
Hey, yeah, Kelvin! Yeah, Kelvin! Yeah, Kelvin! Yeah, Kelvin! Please welcome again Nasser Musa.
How are you guys doing out there? Good. You're doing a great job. Well, I gotta talk about this next song before I get told to do so.
Nasser, why don't you tell us about this song?
This song is from Saudi Arabia, and the catch about the song is in the Middle East was the word rahib. It was one of those expressions that you hear that come on and become hip, just like the word bad, rad, cool, bitch, and that was rahib at one point, and it wasn't heard of except in that part of the world. Rahib literally means scary, but you wouldn't want to go calling your lover scary, so. But this is scary in a good way. Awesome, scary, awesome, you know. So the words are Rahib, Wallah Rahib. He's going on describing her beauty, the magic of her beauty, her face, her eyes and all. And at the end he goes, everything about you is so Rahib, Rahib, Wallah Rahib. So maybe you can sing that verse with us. Rahib, Wallah Rahib, Rahib, Wallah Rahib. Rahib, Wallah Rahib, Rahib, Wallah Rahib. One more time. Rahib, Wallah Rahib. And this is like going on how beautiful she is. So you gotta mean it when you say it, or look like you do at least. Especially when your wife is in the audience. الله أكبر غرام ينبض بحبك فؤادي من يشبهك يا منام من يشبهك يا ودادي الله أكبر غرام ينبض بحبك فؤادي من يشبهك يا ملاك من يشبهك يا ودادي انت بشر غير عادي فيك الجمال العجيب رهيب والله الله أكبر الله ينظر بحبك فؤادي من يشبهك يا ملاك من يشبهك يا ودادي الله أكبر الله ينظر بحبك فؤادي من يشبهك يا ملاك من يشبهك يا ودادي انت بشر غير عادي فيك الجمال العجيب رهيب والله رهيب الله انت بشر غير عادي فيك الجمال العجيب رهيب والله رهيب تشتاق لي في غيابي شوق الندى للزهور واشتاق لك يا عذابي غيبتك والحضور تشتاق لي في غيابي شوق الندى للزهور واشتاق لك يا عذابي غيبتك والحضور انت هنا يوم نهار فيك الرجاء والنصيب رهيب والله رهيب الله انت بشر غير عادي فيك الجمال العجيب رهيب والله رهيب جمعت حلوة المحاسن وشو القمر والغزال في القلب ساكن وصاك عدى الخيال جمعت حلوة المحاسن وشو القمر وشو الغزال حبك في القلب ساكن وصاك عدى الخيال القمر عندك رمادي وانت البعيد القريب رهيب والله رهيب تريده أمرك ولا لك مطير انت الحياة السعيدة يا ورد فصل الربيع تامر على ما تريده أمرك ولا لك مطير انت الحياة السعيدة يا ورد فصل الربيع جوري ونرجس وكابي فيك الجمال العجيب رهيب والله رهيب الله أكبر يا غير عادي فيك الجمال العجيب رهيب والله رهيب. Dr. Scott, I would like him to come out here and would like to do a festive number with the Mizmar. And he probably would like to tell you more about it. Just want to tell you something, really. I've done a lot of work. I was fortunate enough to work with many projects, with many artists, and this is the highlight of everything I do. I really appreciate you so much, and this ensemble, Dr. Scott, so very much. I'm so honored to be here. I'm so humbled among such talent, and I'm just honored to be here. Thanks again for having me. This is a Bedouin song in origin, and it was very slow, and it dated back to when it was sung with a rababa and voice, with a kind of a mellow feel. And then years come by, and then this song becomes very famous as somebody does it as a pop hit. It became famous in Lebanon, sung by Samira Tawfiq, went to Jordan, and it became famous in all that region as well. It became a very festive, dancey sort of numbers that uses the mizmar, that instrument that Dr. Scott will be playing. Hope you like it. And of course, it features the tabl al-baladi, the big drum here. Sue Redley.
Thank you.
علي يا احباب لا ترحلوا الله حواليا كون صبوني وكون صبوني مروا علي العذاب العين صبوني لو قطعوني جنة والوحش صبوني حيد عن عشرتك يا غالي عليا وجه هسه يلا
We're here at our last set for the evening. We'd like to thank a number of people before we jump into this. We'd like to thank all the people that worked on this program, the printed program. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes in this. We'd like to thank Sue and her husband Dana for all their work on it. We'd also like to thank Dana for being our videographer here. We'd like to thank Nancy Patel for all the work she does in putting together, especially the soundtrack. It takes many hours putting together all the song texts here, and it's a huge project, and Nancy leads us in this. Nancy, thank you very much. We'd like to thank our stage managers here. We'd like to thank our sound people. Gary and Jim have been doing this for many years. We thank you very much. And we'd like to welcome all of our board members in the audience and all of our past members in the audience. Thank you very much for all your help, for keeping to come, for supporting us. We'd like to move here to the finale. This is a dance finale, and we're very lucky to have this one featuring the director of our dance troupe, our own superstar dancer, Alexandra King. And we'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the people that are graduating from our group here. Could you all stand if you're graduating, moving on? Our graduating seniors and our graduating grad students. Go. Congratulations. It's not an easy thing getting through. Congratulations. Rami, congratulations. Okay, thank you. We'll get back the lights. Here's Alexandra King and our finale dance set. Thank you. Alexandra King, and Nancy. Thank you very, very much. We thank you very, very much. We'd like to thank the band for a great year here. We'd like to go around and thank our oud section here. Our oud section and our triple player, Eric. Eric's been teaching our oud section this year. Eric and our oud section. Our canoe with a Q. Our canoe with a K. Our canoe section. Our violinist. Our very, very happening violin section. And please welcome for the first time on our stage, Morgan. Morgan. And our accordion. Saxophone. Clarinet. Our very happening chorus here. Beautiful. Our nine section. Our double bass. Our Rick section, our tambourine section. And we especially thank Shirley for being our tambourine player in the chorus. Our percussion section. Ensemble. How about our frame drummers? And we'd like to thank the head of our drum section, Sue, the head of our drum section. And we'd like to thank the two Marcus brothers, Ziad and Ari. Ari Marcus and Ziad and Ari. We'd like to thank all our soloists, Eric on jumbush, Rami on guitar, Denise on canoe, Jim on canoe, Jared on violin, Lily on violin, Coulter on sax, Chris on accordion, Tara on clarinet, Richard on nine, Andrea on her nine solo. We'd like to thank our Saz Ensemble, people. We'd like to thank Eric and Denise for giving us these songs, the Turkish song, the Zeybek song. We'd like to thank our vocal soloists, Myra, Denise, her vocal solo. Andrea. And we'd like to bring out Bahram for so much he's given us. Where's Bahram here? Bahram.
Go down to the stage.
And we'd like to bring out our dancer. Our first group of dancers. And we'd like to bring out our ensemble dancers. And we'd like to bring out the director of our dance troupe, Alexandra King. And making it all a very, very special evening, please welcome again, Nasser Musa. Nasser.
And the man who brings it all together, please welcome a Dr. Scott Marcus.